Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to move the boards from being generated on the client to be generated on the server. Honey Badger asks, it's a phone app? It will be, yes. But for now, I have it just on the computer, and then I'm almost done with the multiplayer layer, so everything gets fed from the server, which will set us up for online play. So when I look at this under the back end, when we are creating this, we have logic in the back end here, which evaluates this one. When the piece is played, here, we'll move this into its own little method at some point. So when this happens, we write it all to the database, we clear the piece in the drawer, we send the new drawers, and we declare if it's a game over. Now, when you return this action play piece VM, you want to also include in here a board, what is it called? Board VM. And it's going to be called board next. This only gets populated when we go to the next board. Okay. And now what I want to see is var next board equals and we want to have a new protected virtual void called it's a board VM. It's going to say check and get next board if required. Okay. So now what I want to do is we want to check to see how many lines are remaining on that board. So if I look at a board BLL, here's the instance with the SOID. Okay, so now in the here's board SO. Here we're going to add a board SO called board SO with a private set. And then I can get rid of these two properties and have this as a board SO.board size X and board size Y. And so then on my boards, I want to have a private integer for my number lines remaining. And here you want to say your number lines remaining equals your board SO dot number lines to progress. Okay, so let's go ahead and change these things out, which is now a board so.board size X, board size Y, board size X, board size Y, X, Y, Y, X, X, and a Y. And so now when you do your check for lines, we're going to say number of lines remaining minus equals to your line count. I want to put this as an event, but that's not what we want because I want to return this one request. So we're going to have a public bool is ready for next board. And all you're going to say is return your number of lines remaining is less than or equal to 0. So if you no, we want to pass across the match, which is of type U. So if my match.boards, and we're going to add a new get property in here called public board BLL board current. And we're going to return my boards.last or default. If it's ready for the next board, then you want to do a data access layer dot next board. Okay, we got to code it in. So this is a protected virtual asynchronous task of a board BLL called get next board or go to next board, and you want to do this for a match. And when I look at my data access layer, we're going to do a task of a board VM, and it's going to be called request board next asynchronous. And I want to pass in here the match DTO. So this is request board next asynchronous. Okay. And now what I want to do is a new board BLL, which is going to require a board next dot like that. My board next dot match player boards, my board next dot draw pieces, my board next SO, which I don't have yet, my game players, and then my previous grid, which is a match dot board current and if I look at this again, we need to have the grid in here. Public block instance DTO array 2D called grid. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at where we create the first board. So over here, these game players are on the game. Okay, one thing we're going to go and change in the structure of these things is we're going to add in, so for example, my game is going to have a number of rounds, which is going to have a game BLL attached to it. We only have to do this for a few. So the next one is round. We just did that one. So the next one is a match set. This is a protected set, and this is going to be called a round BLL. Just round. Because we don't know the generics of them. And then we need to add in here a constructor with a round BLL called round. Okay, and then we're going to have another one here, which is called a round BLL. Okay, and the last one is a match, which is going to have one of these match set BLLs. Okay, we're going to add in here a public X called match current. And then, so this one needs to have a public Y called round current. This one has a match current. Like that. And then this one needs to have a match set BLL called match set. Okay. So this is match set dot round dot game players. Why does the board care about game players? Because that's where we check to see if it's out of moves. That's not out of moves for the game players, that's a match players. So this should be match player BLL. So we'll make a new one of these called match player BLL. And all this one's going to have is a game player BLL attached to it. And then also a match player instance DTO called match player. And so on the match, You want to have this as a match player BLL. So this is a match players. And then you also need your board SO for your next board. You don't have it in here, do you? No. So we need to get that. We're going to add in here an application database context. And then what I want to do is I want to get the board SO equals await context.board SOs dot first or default where my ID is equal to board next dot board dot ID. Nope. Board SO ID and it's active. Now this wants these to be board piece BLL, draw piece BLL. So for each one of my draw pieces in board next dot draw pieces, I want to make a new draw piece BLL, which is going to have a draw piece dot draw piece, and then a new piece BLL, which needs to have a draw piece dot piece dot piece, draw piece dot piece dot blocks, draw piece dot piece dot block gems, draw piece dot piece dot gems, draw piece dot piece. You need to get that. You don't have that one yet. And then your piece blocks SOs. So you want to say piece SO equals await your context dot pieces SOs. Let's just go up here and do it this way. Dot where my x dot active dot to list array or to list async, and then I want to get my piece block SOs equals await context dot pieces blocks SOs where my active to list asynchronous. So this is piece SOs dot first or default x where my ID is equal to draw piece dot piece ID. like that. Let's go ahead and make this a little more readable. And then we want to do piece blocks sos dot where my piece so ID is equal to piece so dot ID. And then we want to say var drop pieces equals a new list of drop piece BLL. And this is drop pieces. Now, you want to do a match.goToNextBoard. And we want to pass in the board BL. Go to next board of my board next. This board, which is here. And this is a board VM. So let's make two methods out of this. This is the first one. And this one's going to be create board BLL. And this one will be called go to next board. So now when you play the piece, check and get next board if required. This is going to be your match and your context. If next board does not equal to null, then you want to do a go to next board of this match next board and the context. Then save your changes. Like that. Okay. This one is now match player BLL. Like that. And this one is going to be match player dot game player. Okay, all of these things are going to need now a match player BLL. And now here we're going to make a new list of match player BLL. And then we're going to do for each var match player and match players. I want to do a match players.add. Thank you so much for that follow, Zero to Hero. How are you doing today? Any questions what I'm working on, don't hesitate to pop them into the chat. This is going to be a new match player BLL, which is going to require my match player dot, that's it, and then my var selected game player equals game players dot first or default, the one where my game player DTO dot ID is equal to your match player dot game player ID. So this is going to be a match players dot to array. This one wants the match sets dot first or default x, where my match set DTO dot ID is equal to your match set ID. Okay. Hey there, Grazer59. I don't have a command up for that, but this is the company's name is Bloody. It's a Light Strike keyboard, a couple years old now. I've had it for a long time. And then this one, we want the round. So that's rounds dot first or default x, where my round DTO dot ID is equal to my match set dot match set DTO dot round ID. And then the last one here is games, just game. So here's the problem. That one's right. But in these, this needs to be a we'll do it one at a time. We need to have a public virtual void set match set, which is a match set. Like that. Because we can't assign them before. So now we'll go back here. So this board should have a match set on it, right? Or a match itself. Like, and then we're going to have a function here called public virtual void set match, which is a match BLL. And then what you want to do is for each var board and boards, you want to do a board.setMatch to be my match BLL. So let's go all the way back here and do this one. We want to have a new drawer BLL called drawer. We want to say it's a public virtual void set drawer. And this is going to be called a drawer BLL, and then piece BLL.set drawer to be your piece BLL, or your board draw BLL, sorry. And then here you want to add your drawer. So here we're going to do the same thing here, which is a game player BLL. And I'm doing this because I want to go in here and on my drawers I want to have a game player BLL, which is a private, and then we want to have a public virtual void set game player like that. And then we also want to do a for each var drawer in drawers, we want to do a drawer.set game player to be game player BLL. Perfect. And then we also want to do for each var match player in match players, we want to do match player dot set match to be the match BLL. So this is a match set BLL. And then here you want to do for each var match in matches match.set match set to be match set BLL. This is a round BLL. For each var match set and match sets, round BLL match set dot set round to be round BLL. And then you want to say for each var round in rounds, round dot set game BLL. And then you want to return your game BLL. So in round, we want to have a public virtual void set game, which is a game BLL, like that. And in round BLL, you can get rid of that one. So in match set here, we want to say that this is a public virtual void set match set BLL called set round. Okay, this one has no round init. Match player needs to have a match BLL called a match with a private set. Call it a set match. So here, this is a new board BLL. And you want to do a for each var drop piece and drop pieces. You want to do drop piece.set board to be a board BLL. Like that. Hold on here. Yeah, you got it. That's it. Okay. I'm going to copy this because we're going to need this in another method. It's a little different. And then this one says that I don't have my function in here yet. Just here. Worry about that in a minute. And this we can say is round current match set current match current board current this is gameplayer.gamePlayerDTO.id. Yeah, okay. Same thing here. This is the other one that we need to change. So we can get rid of all of this and go to my notepad and copy this stuff in here. And now I want to change everything in here that says single to be multi. And then I also want to change single to be multi. Why didn't that take? So now it should be single to be multi and single to be multi. Now I'm going to get rid of all of this again because I need to have in there that special stuff for the I don't even have it, so we need to add that in there. Because in a match set, you also need to have your tiers. Oh, you do here. Okay, so when I look at this one, there's no round here. There's no match set here. And this is a match player BLL. This one doesn't have a game on the back of it anymore. This one needs to be game multiplayer VM or something like that, right? Now we can dump this one. GamePlayer.GamePlayerDTO.ID. Look at this one, rounds, current, match set current. We want to get the match player ID, which matches that one. Same thing here. This is the GamePlayer.GamePlayer.ID. There is no more boards on this. No, that was right. It's This one doesn't have match set on it anymore. Okay, let's rebuild it. Okay, everything built, finally. Which means that our next board now, except for here, we don't have this set yet. So we want to do a await context dot I want to say board SOs first or default where my ID is equal to my match dot where your match ID. Oh no, that's not it. We first want to get the board where my match instance ID is equal to match.id. And it's active. And we're going to call this my current board. I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to do a where, and then we want to get the max of my index. So this is going to be called index. And then I want to say var board SO equals await context dot board SOs dot first or default asynchronous where my index is equal to index and it's active. And we want to do index plus plus. If my board SO is equal to null, then I want to do a new var max board index equals await context dot boards dot where my this is context dot board SOs dot where it is active. We want to get the maximum asynchronous of the index. And then I want to say my board SO equals await board context dot boards SOs dot first or default asynchronous where my index is equal to my max board index and it's x dot active. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make my new board, which is a new, and now I believe I can do something like, I already have a protected method for this called create board. And your board index is a board so.index. Your match you want to have match player instance called match players. You want to have a tier instance DTO called tiers. You wanted to have a tier color chance instance DTO called tier color chances, and then a tier gem chance instance DTO called tier gem chances. You're going to pass in here a random.random and the context, and then the previous grid which I'm not doing anything with yet. So this is a block instance DTO. If my previous grid does not equal to null, then I want to do for y goes to my previous grid dot get length of 1, and then another one for the x, previous grid dot get length of 0. If my previous grid of x, y does not equal to null, this doesn't matter. Now I also want to have a game SO, so I'll just add that in here. And then we'll just return this. So up here, we're going to change this to be request board next of all of these things. Like that. So this makes a new board VM. Then we have match.match players, match.game.match.set.game.round.game.tiers, match.match.set This needs to be marked abstract. We'll move this over here for a minute. And now we'll implement the abstract method that I just wrote. Because now this is a round dot tier color chances, tier gem chances. You need to have a game, a random, so in this we're going to have a private random equals new random. And we'll make this a static or a protected read-only random. We're going to change this to pass in a couple of randoms. Okay. That needs to be a games dot. Do you have like a current game? You have like a match set dot round dot game so. Like that. And then we have the random and the context. We want to do here a select the match player DTO dot to array. Looks good. And so on this one, we need to implement it. We'll do that here. This is match single player BLL. And this is my tier We're going to say that this is a match set single player. And is this a BLL? Yes. Like that. Like that. This one needs to have my random in it. This one needs to have a random in it. This needs to have a game SO, which we want to add right here as a game SO. And then this is my var game SO equals await context.games SOs dot first or default, where my ID is equal to my C dot game SO ID, and it's active. We'll rebuild it. Var game SO equals await context.games SOs dot first or default asynchronous, where my x.game x.id equals your c.game.game SOID, and it's active. And that's it. So the back end is done. We're now generating the new board, and we're going to it. We're changing out all of our pieces and everything. And we're sending that new board across the pipe. Right here. Do this after the commit. Okay. We also need to send an event for when we get a game over, but we'll do that in a little bit. So on the front end, it's a lot easier. If I look at where this model is coming in, I could have just broken something there. If I look at where this data is coming in here, as a model action play piece DTO. Which we're calling a VMs. This one. I want to have in here a public board VM called board next. Okay. So when we are in the game manager and I receive that packet, this I got to clean up later. Here. Here you're adding the piece to the board. Same thing here. So if I was to save this and then go look at where we go to the next board, it's in the same script, it's just above. On piece placed event. If my global manager is not online, and that is happening, so down here, if my action, which is called C, and we're looking for my board next does not equal to null, then we want to go to next board with my I want to get my match player. So this is game.matchCurrent. Second. We have a match player board ID. Game.roundCurrent.matchSetCurrent.matches, which has the match players that have any ID, which is equal to your C.action.matchPlayer board ID. for each var match in game.roundCurrent.matchSetCurrent.matches, if my match.matchBoard current.matchPlayerBoards has any where your ID is equal to c.action.matchPlayerBoardID. We want to go to next board of my match.matchPlayers, and I'm not going to create pieces. And then you want to break out. Now, so many matches. Hey there, Dougal HD. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Gotta fix that mic cable. I think it's my board is starting to flake. Okay. And now that that's done, we want to also say that this is going to be a c.boardNext. And here you're going to have a board VM, which is a board. So you're getting a match where the match players have any one which matches here. Then you're creating this board. So here I want to say if my board VM does not equal to null, then you want to do one thing. Otherwise, you want to do this other thing. So up here, you're going to create one, which is going to be from your board VM dot, hey there, Dougal. Board VM dot index, board dot index. It's going to create a board there, but then you also want to do a board.init of my board VM.board. And we're going to go to the next one. And then do a board.createDraws, and I should have a board VM to pass in there. So like that. This needs to be a board SO called board. And now I want to say if my data cache dot and we're going to go all the way back now for just a second till I can take that very first line This is going to be called the local match. If my local match dot ID is equal to my selected match dot ID, then we can do this stuff. And if it's online, not online, then we're going to prepare to send these, and then we'll just save them. And that should do it. Now you got a problem. The first one is on the back end. When you go to your next board, this is called the existing grid. And here you want to say you're passing in the grid here. So you are doing it, which means that over here this is what's going to determine when it goes to the next board. And now also this logic on play piece is only going to happen if it's not online. So let's see if it works now. Back end starting. Okay, let's test the front end. Okay, we're going to do an open play. Okay, when we go to the next line, This is game over, but that's not true. I have to fix that. It should have received the new board. So let's start one place at a time. Let's try it again. Oh, that's a game over. Yeah, that's right. Right, that's game over there. One more. One of the reasons it's hard is because the board is so small right now, but I'm doing that to test the game overs. And in my data access layer where we are... No, this should be okay. Do this one, that's one. That's two. Now it's game over. Try it again. One, two. Three, four, oops. I didn't realize I was going to make a line. Okay, we're going to get a line here, so we're going to check to see next board here. When we look, we do have a next board. So we're going to go to the next board. I do see something right here which we need to fix. Okay. And then on the front end, we're going to attach this is when we get my TCP response here. Okay, let's get this to attach here. Sometimes this takes a minute. I'm gonna go get a beverage while we wait. Just 1 second. Okay, did it connect yet? Not yet. Still working on it. All right. Let's see how it's doing now. All right. Still not connecting yet. Okay, now we're good. Give it a run. Okay. We know that the board is being created. Now it says my c.next has something in it. Okay, so here, still not letting me look at C. This is what handled TCP response. So it's on the main thread. If I look at my TCP manager, we can grab it where it gets hit here. If I look at this data, board next is null. Try it again. It's just a nullable object. So we're going to add a new method here, which is bool go to next board. And then over here we can have a go to next board. Next board does not equal to null, then we want to say true. So just like that. Okay. So we're going to attach it again. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Boom. So for each one of my matches, that was it. So in my game round current match set current called matches, match player SO is this. And your action is what? Your match player board ID is not being set on the back end. Or is the drawer ID? So over here, where we are generating our action, The first one is that we want to look at our auto mapper here, because this is wrong. And this is for action, drawer, play, piece to DTO. Drawer ID. And then the other one is a match player board ID, which is a match player board instance ID. Try it again. Hey, here we go. If I look at the action now, it's got all of the things that I care about in it. 1, 2, I think I'm done. Interesting. Interesting. It's like it doesn't know about this last row. 2. So I think it's this one. Let me take a look at that real quick then, since I think I deduced where that problem is coming from. It's when we check to see if there are any more moves. We'll try that. Okay, here we go. It canceled out. Let's get it one more time. Okay. Here it is. What the hell? What the hell? That doesn't make any sense. I didn't change any of that. Weird. Man, this thing... I'm going to switch engines pretty soon. I'm not really very happy with how Unity performs anymore. It is literally logistical nightmares, and it just doesn't work great. I mean, in this 3 hours, it's crashed 7 times. That's bad software. Try it again. It always thinks that this is 1, 2, 3. So it didn't go to the next one, did it? And now I have to reattach it because, you know, it crashed. So we'll have to wait 3 minutes again while it reattaches because it's phenomenal software. Only the best. Here we are waiting patiently for the debugger to reattach for the 5th time today. Unbelievable how bad this is. Not much I can do until this works. It's a major waste of time. There we go. 2 minutes later. Okay, here we go. Open play. Place a piece. Place a piece. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. All right, it says we're going to the next board. So for each one of the matches, my board current what the fuck? Instance ID. Let's check it again. Okay, so this time my match player board ID is this. One more. But that's going to be it for me. Try again. One, 2, 3. Here we go. This time, my action has a match player ID of this. Which fires here. Now if I look at my board current, you've got the right instance ID in there. So, is it that it can't get the match player board ID? C59EF22. That's right. So, just for the sake of argument, let's just comment these two things out. That's all right. Okay, let's try it again. That was correct. Seems like when they're down, they all work great. So maybe I need to test the individual directions that they can be. It's actually a pretty good idea. Well, it took. It didn't go to the next board, though. Where's the board script going to the next board? Is it just with this init? Right here. Let's get rid of this stuff again here. Try it again. Okay, so it took me to a new board, sort of. But it should have changed the size of the board. It looks identical. Well, I'm exhausted. I'm going to call it for the day. Thanks for staying with me. We made pretty good progress on this board thing. Still got a little bug, so we'll get it. If you have any questions, make sure you pop them in the chat, discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. I also put up all these videos at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Appreciate all the support again, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. All right, have a good one. Bye.